Hey everybody, what's up? How are you doing? Frokenok here and welcome to another Aether video. Today I want to talk about the new system that got implemented with the new patch in Aether, which is the warp skills. What are warp skills? Warp skills is another system that got added that allows you to build even more your characters and help them deal more damage or give more buffs in general to your modifier. How you enable the warp is by having your sigils to level 40. Once your your sigil, reaches level 40, then your slot will be activated. So 6 sigils, 6 slots, right? Now let's talk about a little bit about the skills of the warp skills that you can select. So one thing to notice is that slot 1 and slot 2 are the same, slot 3 and slot 4 are the same, slot 5 and slot 6 are the same, right? So what do you pick? Like how you go about picking which options are the best? That's a little bit, it depends a little bit, but as far as slot 1 and slot 2 goes, the mandatory warp skill to pick is either having ranged, power up ranged, or power up melee, depending on if your modifier is a melee type or a range type. This is like a mandatory warp to get, no questions asked pretty much. You always get this one for for your DPS units pretty much, right? Next up is either the executioner or the judge, one of those two options. So what is the difference between those two is that for the executioner, you deal more damage when the enemies are below 40% HP, right? And for the judge, you deal more damage when they have more than 85% HP. So how you go about selecting it, right? So according to different sources that I looked around, either from the CN websites or Discord, and other people talking about it, when your modifier is below triple S, you want to take 6 stacks of the executioner. So you go full level on the executioner pretty much, right? But if your modifier is above triple S and above pretty much in Transcendence, then you go for the judge. That's what the numbers say pretty much, that you deal more damage that way. And also if you are triple S and above, you get an extra +1 in your warp skills, right? So that will be for slot 1 and slot 2 pretty much. TLDR, again, slot 1 and slot 2. If you have melee, pick the power up melee. If you have range, pick the power up range. And then depending on your transcendence level, if it's below triple S, executioner. If it's triple S and above, you go the judge. That's pretty much the guidance for slot 1 and slot 2, right? So now about slot 3 and slot 4. So slot 3 and slot 4 is based on your playstyle preference pretty much. So depending on how you want to play the game, it will change a little bit which skill you want to use. But the two options that I'm mostly talking about is EM Flux and Savage. So EM Flux, the higher your HP, the more the non-dot damage will be, right? But for Savage, the lower your HP, the more non-damage you will do, right? So the biggest difference is like, do you want to, keep away, not get hit, play it safe pretty much, and get some bonus damage out of it? Or, you go guns in blazing, like you don't care if you get hit, you reach that breakthrough point for your HP and, you get the most damage out of it. It's really depending on you, how you want to play the game. Some people like, to go in there, they don't really care about getting hit. And after they got hit like enough, they can start, dodging and not getting hit again, because the thing is that some enemies might hit a little bit too hard. So when you are low on health, you might get one-shotted, right? But with EM Flux, you can, start from the get-go having the bonus damage and, play as at the best of your ability to not get hit. Also, I think for both of these options, I'm not 100% sure on that, at least for a little bit of testing that I did. Both of these options, the break-even point, like the point where you stop having the buff, or you start having the buff for the Savage, I think it's like 75%. And both options give like the most damage out of it, right? I think it's around there. It's like 70% HP, 75, something like that. I'm not exactly sure because it was a little bit difficult to test out, obviously, but I think that's about right. I think that's about correct. Also, as for the next skill that you want to use, there is Telepathize Force Field 1, 2 and 3. So depending on your Aether code that you are using, you can pick one of those three to boost your damage. Now, that being said, you should never pick your Telepathize Force Field first and then decide your Aether codes. Always pick the Aether codes that they are the best for your modifier, and then take the Telepathize Force Field that will help you get a little bit of an extra damage. That's how you should pretty much treat it, a nice little extra bonus of damage depending on your Aether code. Right? So, there's like one that if you have a tier 3 of a certain Aether code, if you have 2 tier 1s, or you have 3 tier 1s, like stuff like that. Obviously, if if nothing goes close to that, you can get something else, right? But those three are pretty much your go-to outside of EM Flags or Savage for slot 3 and 4 pretty much, right? And that pretty much will do it for those two slots. And for the last two, 5 and 6, so 5 and 6 is based, like those two slots are based on your character's whole kit pretty much, and how you want to build your team kit as well. So it depends on the character you're using, and it depends on the team you're using as well, right? So it's very important to understand which team you're playing, and the team's kit overall, for picking those slots. Now, if you're not, you don't want to go too deep into understanding everything and remember everything about each character and all that kind of stuff, a general safe option to pick is skill level or damage percentage up, right? So skill level is a very, easy option to pick, or base damage for, to go up, right? Then after that, you have the cooldown skills. For example, like a couple people that could use the cooldown of your skills is Asura, for example. Asura would like to have, a lower cooldown for her skills. Or Poseidon, for example, could have a lower cooldown for his skills. That's a very good option for them, right? Or if you're playing Hades, for example, you can get Divine Sense. Hades wants to be between 40 and 60 to get the most damage out of your kit, right? With the triple red Aether code. So if you have more Divine Sense when you're starting the battle, you can be between that requirement much faster. I only picked one right now, and I started with 15, but as you can tell, you can go close to 40 immediately, or even between 40 and 60 for that matter. Having said that though, you need to be careful when you're picking those types of warp skills, because some characters might not need as much. For example, Hades, you don't want to go above 60, but if I take too much of Divine Sense, like too many levels, I will go above 60 Divine Grace, which means I'm losing all the buffs that I need. So I need to keep a lower level for that, right? So another notable option would be the armor break, for example. If you want to, damage to enemies in weak or armor break, to deal more damage. Some characters have armor break in their kit. For example, Athena, the newest rank character, has an armor break in her skill too. So yeah, that's another notable option to pick. Aether Shatter is another good option to pick as well, because you can deal more damage to enemies with abnormal states. Trauma, Scorch, Stun, Freeze, many characters can actually do those abnormal states. For example, I would pick this one for Poseidon or Skadi, for example. If you have those characters, you can do more damage when they are frozen, right? So that's some good options too. So yeah, I think, like I said, a good amount of examples on how you go about picking which warp skills you want for slot 5 and slot 6. And that will be much it. Yeah, I think this is all I could tell about the warp skills, pretty much, on how you go about building them as a general rule, how you pick some of those, and what each slot means for your modifier. So slot 1 and slot 2, you go for the DPS options, pretty much. You want really, especially for your DPS units. Slot 3 and slot 4, depending on your playstyle, you can go how you want to go about it. And slot 5 and slot 6, depending on your modifiers kit and depending on your team you are using, you want to pick those skills to pretty much buff your whole team. And I think that's about it. Yep. I think that's all I could say about the new warp system. I hope that was helpful. I hope I cleared some things out for you, and I hope I gave you a little bit of a guidance on how you pick your skills, so you don't pick the wrong ones, or don't waste your resources more on some other skills that you might not need. But that'll be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like, feel free to comment below if you have any questions. I would really appreciate, like to see if, everything was clear for you, or, you have something that's troubling you. Feel free to subscribe as well, so, you can check more Aether Gazer videos coming, in the next couple days. I want to do an Athena video, a guide for Athena, or a Heimdall guide too. And also feel free to check the links below in the description for my tweets, my streaming. I stream almost every day, and I play Aether Gazer. You can ask me, questions live at that time, so I can help you there, or you can just chill with me, be comfy. But yeah, that'll be it. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.